So kanina po nabanggit po ni Ma'am Chanda yung mga information or detalye na kailangan po nating ilagay, i-input po sa ating OPCRF in phase 1, no, during phase 1. So now po that we're in phase 2, monitoring and coaching, ito naman po yung kailangan natin ilagay sa ating mga isipan, no. So for phase 2, monitoring and coaching, lagi po namin sinasabi, this is the heart of the performance management. So meaning to say po, kailangan throughout the performance cycle, performance period, ay lagi nating ginagawa ang monitoring and coaching because this will inform po our performance. So ito din po yung magiging basis, no? Dito po natin makikita later on sa ating evaluation, later on sa ating assessment, kung ano po ang nararapat na performance o rating ng ating opisina or ng ating mga individual employees. So, for phase 2, dalawang components po ang meron tayo, performance monitoring. So, and coaching and feedback. For monitoring, this is to track progress in the achievement of planned targets, flag positive and negative behaviors that are observed in the workplace, and plan appropriate action steps. So in this process also, no, it provides us key inputs and objective basis for rating. So ayan po, kung sa phase 1 ay in-identify po natin kung ano yung mga targets natin, ano yung mga objectives natin for the school year. So dito po sa performance monitoring ay itatrack natin kung talaga bang nasa tamang direction tayo. Right? And then for the second component, it's the coaching and feedback. So the objective of this component is to improve office performance and individual behavior. It provides an enabling environment and intervention for continuous improvement. So we want also to highlight that performance monitoring and coaching shall be a proactive responsibility of both the rater and the ratee. Yan. So hindi ibig po sabihin na hindi tayo kino-coach or binibigyan ng feedback ay okay na lang yon, no? We can also be proactive in requesting for feedback from our rater. Okay? Or we can be proactive in conducting coaching to our colleagues, no, sa ating mga teachers din, to improve our office performance. Right? So, ano po yung form na gagamitin natin in conducting performance monitoring and coaching? So, this is the form that we also uploaded po sa ating RPMS library. This is the performance monitoring and coaching form, or PMCF. So, I'm sure po familiar po tayong lahat dito kasi ito din po yung ating nilabas na form nung naglabas tayo ng DepEd order ng RPMS, no, noong 2015. So ang mga schools din po natin, mga teachers we encourage them also to use this PMCF throughout the school year. So tayo po as ratee and rater as well, no, sa ating mga teachers, we shall use this PMCF in monitoring our performance, office performance. So we also use this in providing basis later on in assessing our performance. So kanina po sa Q&A may nagtanong po, ano daw po yung MOV na gagamitin in assessing part 2. So nabanggit niya, pwede po bang magbigay tayo ng MOV in assessing these competencies para objective. So this PMCF is one of the main objectives nga po, no, ng ating part 2 for the assessment of our leadership competencies and core behavioral competencies. Kung nakita niyo po kanina yung yung form ng part 2A at part 2B, meron po doong portion on remarks and observations. So we can also use, we can use this PMCF in annotating or annotating our observations sa ating opisina, mga critical incidents na nakikita natin, na observe natin, and then we can transfer it later on doon sa ating part 2A and part 2B sa ating remarks or observation portion. But definitely po itong PMCF natin ay pwedeng gamitin as MOV, no, in the assessment of our leadership and core behavioral competencies. So we just want to highlight here po na for critical incidents description, pwede po nating ilagay dito both the positive and negative observations or performance po na na-observe po natin. So these are actual events and behaviors reinforcing and hindering performance hindering performance which are observed throughout the performance period. So pag lagay po natin yan, can also plan for action steps on how to improve our performance given na ito po yung ating na-observe. Okay. So, kailangan din po no ay agreed ito, yung ating action plan, yung ating mga na-observe, and agreed po ito ng both the ratee and the rater. And then later on po in the evaluation part, we can use this as basis for our assessment. Okay, next. Now, we're done with the phase 2 for the monitoring and coaching phase. Now, we'll move on to the next phase, the review and evaluation. So for the review and evaluation, dalawang components din po ulit ito. Meron po tayong mid-year review and year-end assessment. So for the mid-year review, we do progress check in this part of the review and performance calibration. So later on po, no, papakita po natin kung ano-ano po ba yung mga cases na magko-qualify for us to do performance calibration. But definitely po, for mid-year review, we do progress check. Tinitingnan po natin kung nasaan na tayo sa ating mga tinarget nung nasa planning phase tayo. Okay. And then for year-end assessment, of course, ito po ay ginagawa at the end of the performance cycle. We do reflection of our actual accomplishments and results, computation ng ating performance rating based on our MOVs or presented means of verification. And then we also assess competencies, we determine the numerical and adjectival rating, and of course, we reach an agreement. And then when we reached an agreement, isinasabit na po natin ito. Then start na naman po ulit tayo sa phase 1. So, tingnan natin po kung ano po ang mga nangyayari sa mid-year review. So, an office-wide mid-year review shall be required to determine the progress in achieving the agreed office performance targets. In exceptional cases, and only if the situation warrants, a one-time calibration of office performance targets, weights, timeline, and performance indicators shall be allowed during the mid-year. Okay, so ano-ano po ba yung mga exceptional cases, no? Take note po natin ito kasi hindi po pwedeng basta-basta lang po tayong nag-change or nagka-calibrate ng ating mga targets, ng ating mga timeline, no? May mga exceptional cases lang po and kailangan ay mapa-approve po ito sa ating performance management team or the PMT sa ating school. So, here are the exceptional cases that may warrant kasi po required na may approval po ng ating concerned PMT, okay? So, ano po yung unang case? Instances when high-level decisions are taken into effect which resulted in changes in strategic directions and a reprioritization of programs, activities, and projects. So, kung may mga instruction from halimbawa the central office for example na naglabas na ito po hindi papalitan na natin yung ating priority, hindi na natin ita-target ito for this year, may maibibigay kaming bago. So definitely po ay magbabago din po yung ating mga targets kasi po nasa isang direksyon tayo as one DepEd, diba po? So, dyan po yung, dyan papasok na pwede natin i-calibrate ang ating OPCRF. Pangalawa is adjustments in the systems, procedures, and strategies involved in the delivery of committed targets. Example po, use of alternative strategies and work arrangements. So for example po sa ating ito very timely po, no, nagkaroon tayo ng mga alternative work arrangements because of the yung mataas na heat index sa ating lugar. So may mga adjustments po tayo sa mga sistema natin sa school, sa procedure, so we can calibrate our identified targets or timeline maybe, or weights, no, allocation, as long as we have justification kung bakit natin ito na propose na i-adjust or i-calibrate. So yun po, no, pwede yan. Pangatlo is changes in the necessary administrative, financial, procurement, and other processes, rules, and regulations that are not within the jurisdiction or discretion of the office and or employee. So kung hindi po natin wala tayong hawak, no, sa ganung pagbabago, changes in the process, for example procurement, of course we need to align sa naging adjusted timeline ng procurement na sinet halimbawa ng division office, for example. So kailangan natin mag-adjust din ng ating timeline sa OPCRF, so we can do calibration in that case. And lastly, circumstances that are beyond the control of the RATI, such as natural and or man-made calamities, including typhoon, earthquake, and other fortuitous events. Alright po, so take note po natin itong mga exceptional cases. Now, if qualified ang ating office to do calibration given these exceptional cases, saan po natin ito ilalagay, or ano po yung gagamitin nating forms or templates to submit our proposal to adjust. So ito po ang ating template for the office performance calibration. So ito po yung form na gagamitin natin. We also uploaded this in our RPMS library for your reference. So we have here a portion on the original OPCRF content. So kukunin niyo po kung ano yung mga target nyo initially, or ano yung part of the OPCRF na ating babaguhin, and then our proposed amendment. Ito po yung sinasabi ko for the fourth column, the justification part. No, we need to justify our proposal. So pinakita ko po kanina yung mga exceptional cases. So pwede nating maging basis yun, and then we elaborate, no, kung ano po yung ating mga reasons for proposing these amendments. And then, we also have here the rater remarks. Ayan, kung ina-approve ba ito or recommend for approval ng ating rater. And then, PMT recommendation, kung recommended yan or not recommended. So, when that's recommended, we can already reflect that in our Office Performance Mid-Year Review Form or OPMRF. So kung makikita nyo po, pareho ito sa itsura ng ating OPCRF, no? It's just that ito po ay, ayan, it's just that ito ay mid-year rating ang nakalagay dito, mid-year review rating and my remarks. So again po, nabanggit ko kanina na yung mid-year review natin ay for progress checking. So dito po natin makikita, no, kung nagpo-progress tayo based on our targets sa planning phase or based on our targets sa ating na-recalibrate na OPCRF. And then, take note din po that the mid-year review rating shall not be, kumbaga formative po, no, itong mid-year process natin. Hindi siya mag-form part doon po sa ating year-end rating, performance rating. Right. So now, year-end assessment naman. So kung natapos na tayo sa ating performance cycle, nakapag-conduct tayo ng performance monitoring and coaching, during the mid-year, nag-review tayo ng performance natin, nag-calibrate tayo if necessary. Now, pwede na tayong mag-year-end assessment. So this meron namang timeline binigay kanina, no, at the end of the performance period po ginagawa ang year-end assessment. So in this part, we do we reflect the actual accomplishments and results. We compute the performance rating, assess competencies, determine overall rating for accomplishments, and reach an agreement. So sa form po natin, ito na po yung titingnan natin. Ilalagay po natin dito ang ating actual accomplishments. Pwede po natin basehan yung mga nilagay natin, nilista nating possible MOVs ng planning phase. And then kung yun po ay na-achieve natin, no, nagawa natin, yun ay napakita natin as an output at the end of the year, yun po yung ilalagay natin din dito sa actual accomplishments. Make sure po na yun ay pertaining to your objective and your performance target. And then, we also do computation of our rating. Ayan. So dito, nilalagay natin yan. Although po yung binigay po naming in-upload po namin form ay naka-automate, may formula na po doon. So, if we input the rating for quality, for efficiency, and for timeliness in this part, sa rating, QET, automatic na po iyon na magbibigay ng average for that objective. And then, kung ano po ang ating sinet na weight for the objective, ay automatic na rin pong magbibigay ng weighted average for that. So for now po, naka-Excel po muna tayo, no? But meron po tayong initiative na ginagawa ngayon sa central office that to automate, no, ang ating mga proseso. So later on po baka mas ma-expound po natin ang ating innovation na pinaplan or ginagawa dito sa central office for RPMS. All right. Next is we also assess the competencies. We also assess the competencies. So yun po, nabanggit na po ito ni Ma'am Chanda kanina. Yan, iisa-isahin po natin yung behavioral indicators. So, titingnan po ng rater natin kung based on our MOB na PMCF, no, kung ano po yung ating na-demonstrate. Ito po bang behavioral indicators na to ay na-demonstrate and bibigyan po natin ng karampatang rating. Ayan. And then, pag na-rate na po natin lahat ng Part 1A, Part 1B, Part 1C, Part 2A, Part 2B, ilalagay po natin dito sa portion na to, sa part 3 summary of ratings ang ating mga na-obtain na score. So, and then, may nakalagay dyan na overall score after we inputted all the scores from part 1 to part 2. And then, we transmute it to its numerical rating in the RPMS rating and adjectival rating. So, ito po yun, no? So, kung nakakuha po tayo, nasa 4.5 to 5 po ang ating rating. Ang overall score po natin, ang ating numerical RPMS rating is 5, and then adjectival rating is outstanding. So on and so forth. Yan pa rin naman po yung nakalagay sa ating DO2 series of 2015. Naka-adhere naman po tayo doon. Alright, and then after that, we do agreement, no, sa ating agreement ng ratee and rater. Yeah, so, in the agreement portion, kailangan po pumirma, no, ang ating head of office, ang ating school head, at ang kanyang rater. Mamaya papakita po namin yung ratee-rater approving authority matrix. Kasi may mga nagtatanong na din sa Q&A, sino po ang approving ratee ko, approving authority, sino po ang rater ko. Okay, so sa part 4, yan, so rewarding and development planning, nagkakaroon tayo ng performance rewarding. Yan, so in this, we provide, we recognize, no, the outstanding performance of our, of the school, and based on the achieved or obtained performance rating. So ito din po sa RPMS, pwede din po maging basis in establishing office-based initiatives to recognize and incentivize meritorious performance. So aside from performance rewarding, dito din po natin sa phase 4 ginagawa ang office improvement planning and individual development planning. So for office improvement, yan, self-explanatory from the name itself, no, how do we improve our office based on its performance sa school year na to, or sa school year na uh, um, na-assess or um, nabigyan ng performance assessment rating. So based on the rating or performance, magko-comply ngayon ng office ng office improvement plan, wherein meron pong ilalagay na mag-identify siya ng kanyang strengths as an office, no, ano po yung mga difficulties encountered during the performance period, and then ano yung mga improvement area na pwede nating gawin or focus, no, for the improvement of office. And then action plan, wherein my general objectives, recommended improvement intervention, of course, timeline and resources needed. So generally po, no, although ito pong office improvement plan ay wala doon sa ating previous na OPCRF, but technically magkamukha yung ating office improvement plan sa ating individual development plan. So yun po ang nasa next slide natin, part 4B, yan, individual development planning. So ito naman po yung kanyang itsura, ito naman ang kanyang form. So part 4B. So here we identify the strengths of the individual, the head, no, the head of office, the strengths, the improvement needs, and then action plan as well, learning objectives, recommended development interventions, timeline, and resources needed. So after that, balik naman na po ulit tayo sa phase 1 for the next performance cycle. So yun po, no, ang ating phases of RPMS. Now, for the interim rater approving authority for the office performance planning and assessment, ito po yung mga ito po yung matrix ng rater approving authority. Papakita po namin. But take note po that this is for the office performance planning and assessment. Kasi may mga nagtatanong po, paano po pag ako ay master teacher, sino po yung aking rater? So yun po kasi ay individual, no? So ito pong ating papakitang rater approving authority matrix ay for office performance planning and assessment. So for individual rater approving authority, you may refer to, sa schools po, no, you may refer to the issued DM, DepEd Memorandum 008 Series of 2023. Meron po doong rater approving authority matrix for individual employees sa school. And for office performance planning, ito po ang ating matrix. Ayan. So for school, so school head, principal, OIC, TIC, ratees, no, your raters po are your assistant or is your assistant schools division superintendent. Then your approving authority, schools division superintendent. For assistant school principals, yung rater po natin ay ang ating school head, and your approving authority is your Assistant Schools Division Superintendent. So meron po kaming colatilla dito. Note, in case that there is no applicable rater or approving authority in your school, now the rater and the approving authority shall be adjusted accordingly so that the next higher official shall perform such function. So yun po yung ating note, no? Pero ito naman pong sa school ay I'm sure naman ang assistant school principal meron talagang school head sa kanilang schools. So, ito po ang ating rater approving authority matrix in your case. Okay po. So, with that, natapos na po tayo sa ating step-by-step guide in accomplishing our OPCRF and the rater approving authority for the office performance. So now, reflection time na po tayo, last reflection time. Pero pwede na po siguro tayo mag-proceed sa Q&A since marami na po tayong mga nabigay ng mga questions. So I'll now turn over the microphone to our host, Ms. Mikay.
Thank you, Miss Liz, for providing us your um your your knowledge in sharing the presentations or in providing us an informative discussion on the phase 2 up to phase 4 of the performance management cycle. I think time check lang po 11:44 a.m. na, and I will not be giving in another health break so as to for us to have a 12 o'clock lunch break po. So now we will now be proceeding po on the Q&A session. So I'll be reading some of the selected questions and will be answered by our session speakers. So the first question is, ano po ang gagamitin ng head teacher in secondary acting as department head? How about a head teacher designated as secondary school head? Ulitin ko po, ano po ang gagamitin ng head teacher in secondary acting as department head? Ikalawa po, how about a head teacher designated as secondary school head?
And thank you, Mikay, for reading our first questions, two questions. For the head teacher po, designated as school head, no, again, take note of the word designated. So kung may official designation po tayo as school head, our form po, the form that we will use is the Office Performance Commitment and Review Form or the OPCRN. Yun po, no? So, sa lahat po ng mga may designation na school head, na PIC or OIC, OPCRF po ang ating gagamitin.
Thank you po, Miss. Thank you, Miss Liz, for answering the question. So, the next question po, why not the central office issue a unified accomplished template with performance indicators, MOVs down to regional, division, and school for OPCRF like the IPCRF for teachers then. The school shall adapt what are applicable to the schools. Ulitin ko po yung question. Why not the central office issue a unified accomplished template with performance indicators, MOVs down to regional office, division, and school for OPCRF like the IPCRF ng mga teachers. Then the school shall adopt what are applicable to the schools.
Okay, thank you, Mikay, for that question. Ayan, si Music Pili, nagbukas po siya ng camera. For the to respond to this question, we'd rather encourage our school heads and our schools division offices to craft the objectives, and to set the performance targets for our schools. The reason being is that each of our divisions and including our schools have their different priorities for a specific school year, no? May iba't iba po tayong targets, may iba't iba po tayong mga priorities for this for specific school year, primarily because iba-iba din po yung context natin. Iba-iba po yung baseline data natin. For example, may isang school po na mababa ang kanyang completion rate, no? So therefore, iba-iba din po yung ating mga posibleng target for a specific school year. So we cannot have a unified, or we cannot prescribe a unified OPCRF, particularly for Part 1A and Part 1B. So kaya po na-mention ko kanina, it requires discussion and a critical thinking po talaga, no, sa parte ng ating division office and school heads po on how to craft your objectives, timelines, and performance targets, no? Including your performance indicator. So I think Yusik really will have something to add to that po. Thank you.
Thank you. The interim guidelines that we issued is actually for us to develop that sense of ownership among delivery units. First, we are confronted with, as a matter of fact, several challenges within the situations and the context that we are in, and to come up with a unified or a uniform template, all accomplished, that is actually being prescriptive, not suggestive. And as I have been mentioning this, that for any head of office, you should understand the context of your organization. You need to understand your challenges, your lags. You even have to understand your priorities. For us to better have a thorough understanding of what needs to be prioritized, because we don't have the luxury of time, we don't have the luxury of resources, and by applying the principle of what should be given the first priority, which will have an impact in that principle on other areas, using the 80-20 rule, all of these management functions, we're giving that because it's also clear in relevant issuances, particularly the law, the Republic Act 9155, states that the school head should be given that sense of authority and accountability within the aspects of its own operation. To give more examples, like for instance, we're saying that our what's this our access should be at least 99%, but your school is situated in an area where there is some sort of convergence coming from the geographic distances, and there are some limitations on that. But you know pretty well that your school is lagging behind in terms of that net enrollment rate as a matter of access indicator. But if we say that all of you should be given 100%, what if at a certain point, majority sa mga residente natin ay nagmamigrate, and then that would be tantamount to your disadvantage. But if you can still manage to contribute, in fact, you should not be carrying the burden of all of this at the level of the entire agency. But we're trying to measure what could be your best contribution on that. And that is also promoting some sort of agency empowerment, agency flexibility, so that you commit what you think is best without necessarily being too conservative, because at the end of the day, there will be indicators, there will be some verifications of the attainment of such objective. And you know that the context as well of the schools from a larger perspective of levels of education, the size, the location, the accessibility, and so on, we deem it most appropriate that you have a rather a good handle of how do you intend to proceed with that, because it's not really uh, all about accomplishing at that given point, but also ensuring that there is sustainability in the effort. It's you mentioned in a particular portion of the discussion earlier. This can be some sort of process improvement of other things which were not successfully obtained or achieved in the previous year of operation. So on that note, I think it's better to have that leeway and leg room, the flexibility. So you own that sense of ownership, and that sense of commitment is homegrown, so to speak. And in relation to the SBM, and it's the standard in terms of reconciling that. I think that is also that's a good question, but for now, as this is an interim and we are in the process of making really more responsive. But I would like to point out that that standard is a benchmark. So, and I mentioned about the standard setting, standard adjustment, and standard compliance. So on that note, if at some point you're not still compliant to the standard, so your effort, your interventions, your approaches, your objectives should be different for those who are even closer or even has surpassed the standard. And so that comes with the prioritization. So those are the things that we need to consider, and that's primary in establishing the fact that there should be one size fits all approach in doing that. I think that's the better approach. But nonetheless, if everybody has all been on board and everybody is well clarified on how these things can be done, only by then, achieving that level of maturity, probably we can issue that. But again, there is also, even if we do that, we also have to consider that the prescription and boxing the creativity and creativity as well as the those approaches which might not be uh, akin to the one who prepared the template, and that is more of the sake of compliance rather than providing opportunity for growth and ensuring that there is really sort of growth mindsets and productivity at the every delivery unit. That's my take on the matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yusik Willie, for providing an enlightenment to the clarifications of the participants. Actually, nasagot na nga po yung second, third, and fourth question. So, last question na lang po. There are several projects and activities which are required by the CO, RO, and SDO during the school year, which may not be reflected in the AIP. How we accomplish this, can it be placed in part 1B, therefore?
Okay, thank you for that question, no? This is a very valid question. Pwede kasi po na throughout our school year, madami talaga tayong additional, no, na tasks na pwedeng matanggap, no? That is also the reason why we are allowed to calibrate, no, our performance objectives, our performance targets during the mid-year review, no? So you can already integrate the new priorities, for example, or new additional tasks, additional projects that will be given by the central office, regional or division office, no, during the calibration of our performance targets. Now, the question is, pwede ba ito ilagay doon sa part 1B? It depends po, no? It depends on the nature of the task, no, na binibigay. Is it something, is it something that some sort of an innovation? Is it supportive to the to the achievement of your part 1A, or yeah, and or is it contributory to the achievement of the part 1A? No, it still depends, no. But basically part 1B is an kumbaga po, sariling initiative po siya dapat, no, ng school on how to improve their processes and how to improve their efficiency at the school level, no. So kung may mga additional task po tayo, again, you can add this, integrate this in your performance targets, performance objectives during the media review, as we are allowed naman po to calibrate our performance targets. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Chanda. Okay, so I think that would be the last.
Can I add
Sal-
something on that note?
Okay po. Go ahead po, Yusek.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I consider this period as a transition period. And as long as we are still in the process of the maturity that I am saying a while ago, is that my direction, the direction that I have in mind is that to allow the schools really to be more accountable on that. And I mentioned about function services and also the delineation of the work and the nature of services. I think that that's part of the maturity, and as well as the comprehension of how governance level should be working on. So, like for instance, if the activity has something to do with like improving learning outcomes, should we be? Kasi all of us are thinking of programs, are thinking of but is it really coming up with a program, or defining an enabling mechanisms? Those are some considerations. But for now, I understand where the one asking question is coming from. But that can be answered in the long process of doing this. So sa ngayon, ang focus natin is in the preparation of your OP share, what are those that you think is best suitable for you to contribute on the organizational outcome. But as mentioned by Chanda, I also consider that as there might be some sort of cascading, downloading of activities, downloading of programs, and we recognize that these are necessary, and then that can be put somewhere in the calibration process. However, if at the end of the interim implementation of that, and we can already define that at a certain period prior to the onset of the ensuing calendar or fiscal year, then probably the planning and programming could happen, and we're saying the integration could be rather be adaptable and flexible. So while the question is valid, and the question is this is part of or an area where we really have to look into. Nonetheless, I always believe that things should happen, the school being the center of all of the initiatives that could impact the attainment of organizational outcomes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you po, Yusek, Billy, for the supplemental information providing to the inquiry of our participants. That would be the last question for today's orientation. Time check. We are now 12:03 p.m. and may to provide closing remarks, may I call on Ma'am Cecil Aniyahan, PDO 5 of the BHRO THRTT. Magandang tanghali po, Ma'am Cecil. Muli, magandang tanghali po, Ma'am Cecil.
Salamat.
Yan, good afternoon. Ay, good morning pa pala. No, so in between good morning and good afternoon. So, good afternoon to each and everyone who attended this virtual orientation, national orientation on the revised office performance planning and assessment guidelines. So, lalong-lalo na po no sa ating pong mga school principal who are here. We hope that we were able to achieve and met the objectives of today's orientation. So, allow me, no, before I close this session, allow me to reiterate some important notes that we've got as far as yung ating pong presentation, especially the presentation of our USEC and Chanda on about the recent issue ones. No, so I will summarize it in three points. So the first one is that the interim guidelines definitely aims to ensure that our office plans, especially at the level of the school, including commitment and performance, account for the achievement and contribution of each offices, including the delivery units in all governance level of the agency's organizational outcome. So very evident po yun sa ating presentation. And at the same time, the second point is that this guideline ensure the immediate integration and alignment of agencies' organizational outcomes in reflecting our office contribution. Lalong-lalo na po tayo sa school, specifically in achieving the strategic agenda priorities set under the Matatag agenda as a direction of the current administration in resolving the basic education challenges. And the last one is that starting this school year, all heads of offices, which includes our school principal po, will use this revised OPCRF, including our assistant school principal. Now, for the salient feature of the forms that we've got, I will basically summarize it in a very simple and yet po pwede po tumatak siya sa atin. And this is what we call the 3 A's of the salient feature of the 2024 OPCRF. So the first A stand for, which I explained a while ago, A is for alignment. Okay. So when we say alignment of office performance and organizational outcome. So at the level of the school, kitang-kita po natin, and as explained by Chanda a while ago, ano pa po ba yung mga expected of us and how we are contributing to the overall organizational outcome. The second one is about achievement. So achievements of our commitments, the targets under the GAA, which was explained by Chanda din po in the presentation, aside from GAA, BEDP, and the Matatag agenda. And the last A of the 3 A's is what we call accountability. Now, it's very clear to us and evident that there's a clear lines of accountability as far as per governance level. So we know what to account at the end of each school year or fiscal year, and we know whom to account as far as accountabilities of these deliverables and expected targets and commitments based on expected organizational outcome of the agency. So with that po, we hope that this activity was able to enlighten each one of us, especially po yung mga questions natin when we received po the interim guidelines, and we have clarified the provisions of the guidelines. So other than this activity po, we're very open to receive po some of your clarification and question by accessing po the Q&A link. So marami na po diyang mga question. We thought of you have similar or same questions. So sinasagot na rin po ng team namin yan. And we have the RPMS library, of which nandoon yung lahat po ng ating mga resources for this orientation. And we will be also saving in the library po the copy of the presentation or the recording of this orientation, so that may babalikan po kayo, kung just in case po medyo busy habang nakikinig kanina, para klaro po and we have that same level of understanding. So again, I congratulate the team of the RPMS unit headed by Chanda for a job well done. Talagang simula yesterday by batch po. Nag-start po kami sa ROSDO and we have the central office and down to the school level po with your participation. So congratulations girls, Chanda, Liz, and Nikay for a job well done on this one. Sabi nga po nila, malayo pa, pero at the same time po, malapit-lapit na rin po tayo sa, changes that we are eyeing as far as, or improvement that we are eyeing as far as the performance management system of the department. So, with this, magandang tanghali po sa lahat at maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Ma'am Cecil Aniahan, in providing us the closing remarks and congratulating the team, and as well as being grateful to all participants who came in this orientation with a total of more than 10,000. So again, thank you very much, and may I request all our participants to kindly access the activity evaluation form, which is already posted in the Q&A section. So this will be flashed in a few seconds. The activity and evaluation form. So again, this will be flashed. Ayan, naka-flash na po. So please don't forget to accomplish this one. Alright. So again, thank you po ulit sa inyong lahat and see you on the next RPMS activity.